U.S. Capitol Police Audible Emergency Notification System. I repeat, this is a test of the U.S. Capitol Police Audible Emergency Notification System.
You can't make this up. It is literally Biden's Hunger Games inauguration, or as I titled this, Red Alert. 25,000 D.C. troops are now to be vetted out by the FBI and superiors. Why? Because there's an insider attack now feared. That's why I called this Biden's Hunger Games. And his inauguration just went full Hamlet. He is literally the paranoid prince. Though this be madness, yet there is a method in it. The title is much simpler than that. This Fox News headline: Insider attack feared days before Biden's inauguration. Service members in D.C.'s vetted by the FBI. The Secret Service is in charge of Biden's inauguration. So what tripped all this off? We told you it was coming. We've reported on it for nearly a week now. As paranoia has grown, or is it simply the appearance that things are much worse than they are? Depends on which way you look at this, but what is cold hard fact is the fact that now Nancy Pelosi, now Biden's front team, the Secret Service, are all on red alert, up in arms. And over what, you might ask? Is it the usual suspects? No. This appears to be coming from within, and that's what has everyone more paranoid than ever. And why Lisa and I just did an entire broadcast on why so much backtracking has occurred over the last 24, 48 hours now. There's good reason for that as the intelligence grows instead of the immediate reaction they had, which led them to impeach Donald Trump, and possibly why Nancy hasn't pushed that paperwork to the Senate yet. But before we go any further, I got to ask you some urgent favors, and there is no time to wait anymore. At any moment in time, everything changes. You've learned that now. Everything we've been preaching about has happened. So today, if you haven't joined us on Gab, I need you to go there. If you haven't joined us on Mayway, I need you to go there. All the links are below in my description box. There is no time to wait for this anymore. We need to stay connected in no matter what happens. If you haven't gone to Telegram and looked up Restricted Republic, join us there. That way I can send you direct alerts when we post videos. We don't have to rely on anybody but one simple text. That is not, don't worry, you're not going to get 100 a day. We spend too much time researching to do that. We just stay at very high level. And if you're watching it on this platform, or if you haven't joined us on Rumble yet, I certainly hope you will. We're doing everything we can as we continue to build our primary platform, which is Restricted Republic, to assure as many people know as possible. I can't tell you how many thousands and thousands and thousands have joined over just the last week. Everybody now understands finally what's occurring in this crazy world around us. So if you haven't gone over to restrictedrepublic.com yet, please do today, 14 days for free. We're not going to hold this much longer because we still have to support the platform, but we're going to do it just for a little while longer, $5 a month for the next 12 months. That way you get to see, take a peek underneath the hood, and once you do, you'll understand that the only media you should be listening to right now is Truth Media. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a survival guide very shortly on everything you need to do to transform your life to assure you are not being brainwashed and manipulated any longer. The first step is restrictedrepublic.com. The second step will take us up on the offer. Enjoy it. But now let's go back to these articles. Defense officials, this on the Fox News article I just showed you, are concerned about an insider attack from service members deployed to Washington, D.C. for President-elect Joe Biden's inauguration, prompting the FBI to vet all 25,000 National Guard troops in the city. Fox News has learned, the Associated Press first reported on the extraordinary security efforts. The U.S. Army issued a statement late Sunday, obtained by Fox News, that said it would be working with the Secret Service to determine if any service members on hand need additional background screening. What's that coming from, you're going to ask? Well, they all know about the Threat Awareness and Reporting Program, which requires department personnel to report any information regarding known or suspected extremist behavior that could be a threat to the department or the U.S. Now, If you've been following along with us, you know what that means. We told you they were tying multiple groups together. Anybody involved in that Capitol raid, which is absolutely unacceptable. It's not the way you solve anything. Absolutely unacceptable. We're going to give you steps, peaceful steps, righteous steps to solve things as we continue to develop this story. But these officials are scared. They're spooked. It's literally Hamlet sitting there now concerned about what's going to come to haunt him later. FBI guards, this is on the Associated Press. I should have went to the other screen, make this a little bit easier. FBI vetting guard troops in D.C. amid fears of an insider attack. The article goes on to state, we're continually going through the process and taking second or third looks at every one of the individuals assigned to this operation. That's a whole new level of paranoia, folks. This is our armed services. This is our military. If you can't trust our military, we got some serious issues happening here. Serious issues. This should not be downplayed. Of course, mainstream media won't paint it in that light because they don't trust anybody except the all-seeing little G's in government that they want them to be. McCarthy said in an interview after he and other military leaders went through an exhaustive 3-hour security drill in preparation for Wednesday's inauguration. He said guard members are also getting trained on how to identify potential insider threats. What the heck is happening to our republic? This is Hunger Game on steroids right now. In a situation like this one, the article goes on to state, FBI vetting would involve, here's what they're going to do. They're going to run people's names through the databases. This is part of that survival guide we're putting together. We're about to present it. If you haven't been to Restricted Republic, please get there. This is critical information that will be coming out shortly. I promise you that. And how do they go through these databases? I'll give you a hint, because every time you use certain search engines, let's take Google, for example, that information is compiled and a profile is built on you no matter what you view, no matter what you search, no matter what you look at. And now the FBI is going through databases similar to that to find out what activity that you're engaged in, even if you're just curiously looking up what happened. Well, now you put a record on what happened and you were looking up on it. But they go on, these watch lists maintained by the Bureau to see if anything alarming comes up. That could include involvement in prior investigations or terrorism-related concerns. That's a broad statement. What does that mean? Folks, this is Orwell on steroids, Hamlet on steroids. Everything we have to fear is, I put this on a quote over the weekend, everything we have to fear is Biden's fear itself. His fear is going to generate so much action that none of us are going to be very happy about. I'm warning you now, but they go in, they dig a little bit deeper. We're going to close off in this article with General the chief of the National Guard Bureau has been meeting with Guard troops as they arrive in D.C. and as they gather downtown and the nice cots that they gave them to sleep in for our service members. Your service is always our greatest gratitude for you. We understand this is hopefully a bunch of absolute nonsense. You don't deserve this. You've offered to serve our country, and this is ridiculous that they're calling anybody out this way. He said he believes there are good processes in place to identify any potential threats. If there's any indication that any of our soldiers or airmen are expressing things that are extremist views, what is an extremist view in their definition? They don't ever give you the definition. Does that simply mean that you don't agree with one side or the other? That's extremist? We don't know yet. It's either handed over to law enforcement or dealt with the chain of command immediately. And why is this all coming to light? Because the terrifying scope of the Capitol attack becoming clearer as Washington locks down in Biden's inauguration. What do they think that this is all stemming from? An insider attack. That's what this is boiling into. This could never have happened without the cooperation of someone inside. An internal FBI bulletin disseminated to law enforcement this week warned that armed protests are being planned in all 50 capitals. That was one of the warnings. We read you the other ones on the previous 3 broadcasts. You're going to have to go back and watch it because I don't want to bore everybody with redundant information. But here's where it gets a little bit more specific for you. Part of that hunt is for several people possibly involved in the killing of Capitol Police Officer, that's Brian Sicknick, according to the 2 law enforcement officials. They go on. The FBI's Washington field office said as investigators are making progress on the investigation and looking at anyone and everyone who may be involved. He did not give specifics on the scope of the investigation in the days after the attack. Court records and news reports also confirmed that current and former U.S. military members participated in the insurrection. Now it starts to come into focus, doesn't it? The news triggered unprecedented statements from the leaders of major security agencies who felt the need to remind their men and women their loyalty is to the Constitution. On Tuesday, the America's most sensitive military leaders condemned the violent invasion, as everybody has, and reminded service members of their obligation to support and defend the Constitution and reject extremism. The Defense Department has observed an increase in white supremacist ideology among active duty service members and veterans, a senior defense official told CNN. The next day, U.S. Security Director James Murray sent agency employees a message urging them to remember their mission and remain professional during the upcoming inauguration. We are expected to behave in a nonpartisan manner, his memo said. So now it's extended beyond the FBI moves on alleged members of extremist groups, including the Oath Keepers and the Three Percenters. We guess it's moved beyond the Boogaloo movement and Mike Dunn, although in his own tweet right now, where it states that BB teams have been activated in VA and we currently have 4 fire teams inside the Capitol and 7 more outside. That's right. He posted that in the middle of the Capitol insurrection that was occurring. And by the way, just so everybody knows, because it's going to be very important here in the coming weeks, you have very precise information on this Boogaloo, whatever movement it is. It's hard to define right now. Everyone calling us Trumpers, and I am the one who led this march. I strongly dislike Trump and most Republicans in general, just as I dislike Biden and most Democrats. I just want to frame that up for you so you understand what's exactly happening. And here's Boogaloo Boys associated with Last Sons of Liberty. This was on Parler prior to it being shut down. But by the way, just so everyone knows, there is now, and I actually showed this to you real quick, just so you can see this in real time. Let's go to Parler.com. Just so you're aware, there it is. The CEO of Parler. Hey, world, is this thing on? For those of you who don't know, he's getting closer. It may be back online soon. And then I will, of course, be promoting you over to Parler again, where we were growing exponentially. And you can see that in our new view counts for all these alternate platforms. Suddenly, Restricted Republic is amazingly more popular than ever. Well, it's because the suppression doesn't exist anymore. But going back to this statement here, he goes on to state that the Last Sons of Liberty played an important part, and go screen so you can read the whole thing with me, in the breach of the Capitol. Any movement to be used to throw a middle finger to tyranny should be capitalized on. Yesterday, when presented with that moment, undercover boys went to work to hype up the people working alongside others. See, you see how much information's out there right now. So if you're confused about everything that's going on, you're not alone. This is how fast this is all moving. But I want everybody to be very clearly focused that if this is misinformation, correct information, nobody can be sure. All you can do is process what you've seen. Here's another tweet from the same leader, small quotes. Me and my boys attended every protest that we can in Virginia. We've been at BLM protests, Trump protests, Black Gun Matters protests, etc. For us to have been in D.C. should not be surprising. We haven't heard about arrests yet in this case, but it is leading to many weird things. An FBI looking for armored military Humvees stolen from National Guard facility. And then Pelosi saying Congress members involved in Capitol siege may be prosecuted. The same Nancy Pelosi, who we had stated prior is responsible for Capitol security. And so when Lindsey Graham came out days after we had discussed the same topic, where was Nancy Pelosi? Lindsey Graham shifts blames on House Speaker for Capitol riots over weak security. He was called every name in the book, inappropriate. You're taking focus away of what happened. But in all reality, it was the same question we asked. Nancy Pelosi is in charge in many ways of the Capitol security force and the failure therein. And if we're going to point the finger of blame, we got to point it in all the directions as to where the failures occurred. Of course, now Nancy Pelosi is going into a new general to lead Capitol security review, Russell Honore, by the way, who Can't stand Trump, just so you understand. Disaster hero general rips Jared Kushner over coronavirus stockpiles. He doesn't like the family, so it only makes sense as that is who Nancy would push for. So now you know you have a major breach. You have concerns that this is coming from the inside out. You have multiple extremist groups who are being wrapped into this dragnet. Anyone involved who had just simply even discussed or organized or been there or whatever it was. You have a mass amount of confusing information. So everyone right now is on edge. Everyone's on edge. We have the paranoid Pelosi and we have the paranoid Biden out there ratcheting up to 25,000 troops. I think that's more than deployed in Afghanistan and Iran combined right now. Just so everybody understands how many troops that is. We've created a militarization zone in Washington, D.C., worse than the Hunger Games. The one gentleman who was caught with guns and ammo, by the way, turned out to be a security guard. But, of course, that wasn't only the major headline came out, not the secondary headline. That's what we dig in to discover. Folks, this is a terrifying situation right now. We know in times of tragedy, the government overreacts. I'm going to do a secondary broadcast here shortly where we're going to go into a U.S. senator, by the way, who finally came out and said the things that you're not supposed to say, but everybody wanted to say. Because it is so broken right now. There's one remedy, in my opinion. But that will be later on today. I still got to record that, get that done. But for right now, I just wanted to let you know what's going on, why these troops are more than likely being vetted out based on the intel that we've been covering every step of the way. And you see, we haven't missed a beat yet. We haven't missed a beat. And by the way, even that little Trump letter that went out to Pelosi about Chinese trading and anybody involved in the Chinese trading, his executive order, that broadcast did amazing. Thank you so much for that. I just want to we're going to pat ourselves on the back one more time here before we go any further, because we announced that there was more than likely that was a warning to multiple parties. And sure enough, now even Mitch McConnell and his wife, Elaine Chao, financially tied to the Chinese government. You see, that was a warning shot from Trump. Anybody involved with insider trading or any trading with the Chinese Communist Party will be held to task not more than 48 hours after our broadcast. Out comes more information, not only involving Hunter Biden now, but also Mitch McConnell. That's why you're at Restricted Republic as we continue to aggregate all our videos to Restricted Republic. That is the end game here. It's why we're building it. It's why we're promoting it. It's why we're getting so much information out there. Eventually, as you've seen, and I know a lot of you have written, well, we can get everything for free. Well, you're finding out you actually can't. Because the minute they don't like that message that's free, it disappears. It's why we have to financially support the platform we built, which is Restricted Republic. We've done everything in our power to keep this information flowing, and we'll continue to do this as long as they allow us to. We always have a very moderated message, a consistent message, one backed by references where you can go to restrictedrepublic.com, justisknight.com, Lisa Haven's channel, and you can find all the references because that's what we do. We want you to dig in yourself. We're just simply providing the facts and then allowing you to make a decision. So if you haven't subscribed to me here, I certainly hope you will. If you haven't gone to Mayway or Gab or Telegram, please do. Hopefully soon I'll be saying Parler again. If you haven't gone to Rumble or you haven't subscribed there yet, or you haven't subscribed here yet, please do. And most importantly, you haven't gone to restrictedrepublic.com, 14 days for free, $5 a month for 12 months. And everything's there. No commercials, no sponsors. We're beholden to no one. So you can watch, well, any video you want with no interruptions. I can't thank you enough for being here. This information is going to continue to accelerate. We'll continue to cover it. Godspeed and God bless. Until next time, Justus Knight, signing out.